Today we're talking cell phones. Gotta love those cell phones, ladies and gentlemen, right? We, as teachers, we've all seen the effects that cell phones can have on students in the classroom. They can be distracting and they can also cause problems during the school day and outside of school as well. And it's just really interesting as an administrator. A student can be on their phone on a Sunday afternoon and they can be making decisions that are going to cause problems that I'm going to have to deal with during the week. It's just really fascinating. These phones, these phones. Nice to have the technology, but they can cause problems. And I personally believe that it is up to the superintendents around the country. It's up to the superintendents to set the tone and set the policy. And I believe when a superintendent steps in and says, you know what, we've seen all this research, all this data that says that the cell phones, they're a distraction. They're costing us time, energy, and effort when we're doing other things where we could be focused on learning. So what we're gonna do in this school district, we're not students are not to have their cell phones. They can bring them. We'll store them somewhere, but they're not to have their cell phones. And what this does, when the superintendent steps up and does this, they give the parents a person that they can go to locally and let their concerns be known. I think it's important that parents have that opportunity to let their concerns be known, because the times that we're living in, the things that we've seen in terms of safety and security at schools, as a parent, what parent wouldn't want to be able to quickly get a hold of their child if they perceive that something bad is happening at the school? But I truly believe that and it may even be safer if students didn't readily have their devices available, so that they can listen to the direction of the teacher and administrators in the event of a crisis. And just I hate that we even have to think and talk like that, but that's where we are. So it's important that parents be heard on that, and that it's definitely a valid concern. But we have a mission to accomplish in the classroom, and like I said, we know from just we know from research, and we know just from experience that cell phones are an issue. And I'm glad to see that state legislatures, they're talking about it, and they're discussing what they could possibly do. Governors are doing it as well. So there is discussion. There is awareness that these cell phones and the things that kids are doing on the cell phones, it can be detrimental to their development. Just the presence of the cell phones can be distracting as well. So I remember I had a mentor who told me that before I became an administrator, he told me that nothing should interfere with the learning that's taking place in the classroom. Absolutely nothing. And as a result, it's just because of that, and that applies as you as teachers as well. Like, nothing should interfere, because you're a leader. You're the architect of your environment. When students enter your classroom, they are on a journey. They're on a mission. They're on a mission. They're seeking knowledge to answer an essential question or questions. Their mission is to produce something to show that they've learned. Their mission is to create something new based on what they have learned. That's and to achieve that mission, that takes a high level of focus. And so you need a cell phone plan. You need a cell phone policy for your classroom. And I'm sure that most of you do have one, but if you don't have one, or you're trying to figure it out, here we are. This episode is for you. Now, those of you who have a cell phone policy that seems to work for you, I'm glad that you're here as well, because this is a place where we can learn from each other. I don't know everything, so if you have a plan that's working for you, I encourage you, please leave a comment in the comments section and let us know what's working for you, so that we can all learn. But today, what I'm going to use is, I found a nice article on Edutopia. I'm going to use this plan that was submitted by a Miss Rebecca Peterson, and I like the plan. It's solid, and I think it's effective as well. The title of the article she wrote is "An Effective Cell Phone Policy for High School Classrooms." So we're talking about high schools, and I think definitely it can apply to middle school as well. So we're going to go through her plan. I'm going to add some things, give you some additional tips and thoughts, and let you see things through an admin's eye as well as we go through these. So before we get into her plan, what I want to do is I want to tell you this. There's just some things that are just that are just foundational. Number one, you don't take the phones. Do not take the phone. And what I mean by that, I should have used the word confiscate. So you don't be punitive with their phone. Okay? You don't. There once was a time where that was acceptable. But now it's not worth it. There once was a time where you could say, I'm gonna confiscate your phone, and you can come get it at the end of the day, or you have a parent to come up and get it. There once was a time when that was acceptable, but just times are different. And some students, they may roll with that. They may say, oh, okay, here's my phone. Can I get it back at the end of the day? Okay, cool. I can deal with that. But and that may work for the most part, but then you may have that one. You may have that one that just really, really throws a fit and just makes a big scene, and you just don't know what can come of that power struggle, if that is a policy that you choose to adopt. So I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Do not confiscate the students' phones. Don't take a punitive approach with taking their phones. Just don't do it. It's just not worth it. All right. So let's get into Rebecca's plan here. Number one, she says you need to get administrative support. And I fully agree with this. It may seem to you to be unnecessary. I mean, it's your classroom. You're establishing a policy so that you can teach students without any distractions. But you don't want to surprise your assistant principal, okay, or your principal. You don't want to surprise administrators. They don't like surprises, because worst case scenario, there's a conflict in your classroom regarding your new policy, and the parent or the teacher the parent or the student decides to jump over the teacher's head and go to you. Well, the principal wants to be in a position where that they can freely speak about the policy. So they can, if a parent calls them, they can say, "Oh, yes, so you're talking about Mrs. Smith's new cell phone policy. Yes, I'm familiar with that. Yes, how may I help you?" So you want them to be in a position of in a position to be able to discuss that and back you up. If it's a reasonable policy, you've ran it by your administrator supports it, then you've got support if the student or the parent decides to go to the administrator about it. Now, it doesn't have to be anything formal. You could just shoot them a quick email, let them know. I mean, they'll see it. They might not immediately get back to you, or maybe they'll just give a quick okay, just to let you know that they saw it. But That's all you need. Nothing too formal. So yes, definitely let your administrator know what's going on, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want this to escalate to the administrator, and the administrator doesn't have seems not to have your back, because the policy that you have is something that they're not in agreement with. So that's something you don't want to be in that situation, because then in the eyes of the students, you had to backtrack and they won, and that's not good. All right, number two, you want to let the parents and guardians know your expectations. That's, again, very simple stuff. This isn't groundbreaking. Yeah, so again, with the parents, you don't want any surprises. You don't want the parents to be surprised. And definitely, you tell them about the why. This is why we're doing it. Show very, be careful, and show a lot of empathy, because definitely you will possibly have those parents who are concerned about safety and security. And so, be prepared to speak on that. Be prepared to address those concerns. And I believe that, you being a teacher, you being a professional, you have a way with words, and you can do that. You can make that happen. That's what we do, right? All right, let's keep going. Number 3, then this is something that I missed out on when I was a teacher, but I think this is interesting, and I've seen this a lot. Number 3, have a cell phone holder in your classroom. Now, I've seen the shoe caddy over the door. I've seen that a lot, and I've seen these. This is a little bit more expensive, but I've seen these little slots, these numbered slots that students put their phone in. And there's just a number of ways I'm sure you can put on your creative hat and come up with something that fits this need, a place where students can put their phone while the instruction is taking place, while they're in their classroom. Now, understand this, because I know what a lot of people are thinking when they hear this is there is room for theft here. There is room for theft here, and so it's important that you keep your eye on it. This is just something that you're going to have to do, and I know it's just like we need one more thing to do, but I really do believe that it's worth doing, to really send that message that in this classroom, we do not allow ourselves to be distracted by cell phones. We are on a mission, and as a result, we are removing ourselves proactively. We're removing ourselves from this distraction so that we can do it. Because here's the thing, even with students doing this, putting their phone somewhere else, there is still the phones are still distracting the students, believe it or not. Check this out. This is some research here, and again, I'll link this into the description section and share it with you so that you can read the whole thing if that's what you want to do, or if you may have a little bit trouble sleeping at night, so you can read that. So check it out. Here it is. This highlighted part, it says, other researchers have posited or stated that simply the presence of a cell phone may have a detrimental effect on learning and memory as well. Researchers have shown that a mobile phone left next to the participant while completing a task is a powerful distractor, even when not in use. So catch that. Even when the students they put their phone up, it's by the teacher's desk. They could still see it, and you could just imagine, just out of habit, like you're just they're thinking like, ooh, I wonder what's going on Instagram. Ooh, I wonder how many Snapchat notifications I got. It's like, ooh, I wonder what's going on with my text. I wonder if so and so texted me back. So this is putting the phone in another location away from the students. This is the least that we can do in order to make sure, in order to just kind of at the very least limit the amount of distraction that students are getting because of these phones. Next up, number 4, you need to check that every student puts their phone in the holder every period daily. Now, as a leaders, we inspect what we expect. Again, we inspect what we expect. And we have to do this every day because students are looking at us. They're looking at us to see, is there any wiggle room? Can I get away with this? Can I get away without putting my phone up there so I could keep my phone with me? And it really is that serious. I used to work at a school where students came through. They came through a metal detector, and we checked their bags every day. And at this school, what we did was we pouched their phones. We used the Yonder pouch, and so at the front, we made sure all pouches were locked. All phones were locked in the pouch. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I saw some crazy things. I saw students, they would have a book and they would like cut out the pages to make room to put in a burner, to put in another phone, and they would put their burner phone in the pouch. It's just, it's that serious. It's that deep. That's the hold that these cell phones have really on all of it, young people and adults. It's just really, really something to think about. So, inspect what you expect, and then also don't make a big deal of it. If just assume, oh, you must have forgot. Hey, Johnny, can you get that? Can you get your phone back into the pouch for me, please? Thanks, I really appreciate it. Let's not make a big deal. Try not to show your frustration, even if you are frustrated, because you don't want to get into a power struggle over the phone. And it's in these cases, what we're doing is we're using the equity that we've built up with these relationships with students. We're just withdrawing a little bit of that equity, because you want the student to think in their mind that I know Dr. Bird, I know he cares about me, and I know he wants the best for me, and he's always treating me right. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I don't like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my phone up. That's what you want students thinking. All right. Next up, you need to have a set time for when students can pack up and get their phones. Now, I will say this, as a former administrator, 90 minutes is a long time. It's a very long time. And, as a teacher, I would have administrators say, you need to go bell to bell. Like I'll go ahead and say it. That's crazy. That's crazy. If students are doing what they need to do, they're meeting expectations. There's nothing wrong with rewarding them with a break, allowing them that one-on-one time with their phone. That means so much to them. What you're doing is you're building up even more equity with them. You're acknowledging that, hey, I understand that you want to look at your phone. It's been 20 minutes since you looked at your phone. I know that. Okay. Hey, you give me a good 30 minutes here. Okay. You give me good 30 minutes here. You give me good effort. You show me that you're working hard, and we're going to take a 5-minute phone break. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, and then because of that, what you're able to do is you're able to control a little bit more what happens at the end of the class. When they start, you got like, whoa, wait a second, I got 10 more minutes left in class to teach. What are you doing? You hear all that paper ruffling and then book bag zip. Time to get ready to go. I want to stand right next to the door. I want to be right next to the door when the bell rings. No. This is what we're gonna do. Remember, I gave you 2 cell phone breaks. Come on. Guys, let me as your teacher be the one to let you know this is at this time. This is when we pack up and get ready to leave. And you know what? It's okay to do that a little bit early to build in another cell phone break at the end of the class. If they're doing what they need to do, you need to show them that you care, that it meant a lot to you. Reward them. Give them another cell phone break. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. All right, number 6. This is the last part of the plan, and I like this. I like this because here we believe that teachers are leaders, and as leaders should never ask those they are serving to do something that they are not willing to do themselves. So number 6 is, you know what, as a teacher, you should put your phone away too. Now, one of the things I had to remind students a lot that, hey, we're not on the same level. I said, well, you don't have to. Why don't you have to do? You have your phone. It's like, well, wait a second. We're not on the same level. That's number one. We're not on the same level. But I think that as a teacher, as a leader, if you were to make it, just make it known and make a show of letting of just saying, hey, I get it. We all love our cell phones. I enjoy mine too. I enjoy TikTok every now and then, just like the next person. And sometimes when my phone's sitting there, it's calling me. It's saying, come on, pick me up. Come on, check the news, check the weather, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever. I get it. But what I'm going to do, because you are so important to me, and I have a job, I need to serve you and give you the best that I got. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my phone right in this pouch case with your phones. That's what I'm going to do. So we're all in this together. And again, what that does for people who are working with a leader, it really inspires them, and it really makes an impact. And again, you're building up, you're building that relationship. You're increasing your equity, because they understand it's like, this guy, this person, they mean what they say, and they're willing to sacrifice and be in this with me as well. To be without their phone, that's a huge sacrifice. So I like this teacher. I think this is one of my favorite teachers. I think I could rock with this teacher. You want them thinking that based off of the things that you do and how you respond to this as well. So that's the plan. I like that plan. You've got a lot of good fundamentals there, but definitely those of you who have a plan that works for you and it's a little bit different, please share with us. A couple of other things I just want to make sure is, I want to emphasize that, have good intentions, assume good intentions. Don't let the phone be something that, don't let the phone be something that causes a lot of tension and frustration in the classroom, because the phones are not going anywhere. So you gotta do your best to level yourself out and don't get frustrated by the phones. Also, it's your responsibility to check that phone holder or wherever. If you do adopt this plan, you got to check it. Please check it. And I think what this does also is, once the students, they see that you're checking consistently, it's going to increase their confidence, and they're not going to have a problem with complying with the policy. Those are just two things I just really want you to keep in mind as you maybe implement this plan or come up with something on your own that may be similar. So that is it for the day. I thank you all so much for tuning in, and until we meet again, please don't forget that teachers are leaders.